with a caveat that it depends on the woman's comfort level, because harassment is subjective. So, for example, if you're sending me explicit messages, yes, that's a clear delineation of harassment. But my brother actually had an instance where he was pulled into an HR situation, and he had just put his hand on the back of his assistant and said, can you tell them that I need 5 more minutes, to go tell the new clients, just give me a second. And that
innocent,
right? Yeah. So that was an incident. So I think it really just depends on what you deem harassment. And I feel for guys sometimes, because how do you know where that line is? I don't know. That's subjective.
And when folks say things like, believe all women, I have a question, why? Really, why? Because I am inclined to believe stories. I really am. But when folks say believe all women, you can't believe all women any more than you can believe all men or believe any other group of people. And to suggest that women are inherently more believable than men is sexist. To say that men don't deserve the same due process as women is sexist. And I believe that men shouldn't act like pigs. I've been only advocating this since I was a teenager. I'm the only man in America who was a virgin until I was married, and proud of it. I've been advocating for a higher standard of traditional behavior on the part of men literally my entire public career. But that doesn't mean that you get to carve out a section of crimes that don't require evidence.
The only time someone is against requiring evidence to back up their claims is when they lack any evidence that would prove what they say happened actually happened. This is a dangerous standard to set, because it means anyone at any time could accuse another person of doing something. And not only do you have to believe them, but you must shame anyone asking for proof to back up the accusation. Thankfully, more and more people are starting to reject this stance. However, that typically only comes after situations where an innocent person receives some form of punishment for something they did not do.
So now I'm 17, and instead of facing minor camp time or juvenile hall time, I was now facing 41 years to life in prison. They tacked on a kidnapping charge, which carries life in the state of California. And what was happening behind the scenes, what I would later find out, which the accuser admitted to on video, was that every time she would hear my side of the story, she would add more to her story, because she didn't want to look like a liar, because it was getting so deep on her end that she had to keep pushing the story. So while I was sitting in jail, I was in jail for 1 count of rape. Next thing you know, it was 2 counts. Next thing you know, it was 3 counts of rape. Next thing you know, it was 3 counts of rape and me. Next thing you know, it was 3 counts of me and kidnapping. Now I'm facing 41 years to life. These charges just continue to stack up. And I had no clue. My mom had no clue. We didn't know how this was happening until years later, finding out how that all went down.
The MeToo movement has become big enough to encompass everything, and diffuse enough to risk becoming nothing at all. As it descends the ladder from to bad dates, it's becoming a category big enough to be meaningless. 4 months ago, we learned the shocking news about Harvey Weinstein. Soon after, we heard about more monsters in everyday places. The MeToo hashtag took off, and a movement was formed. More women came forward, more powerful men were fired. But just as quickly, some men were unfairly caught in the crossfire. Matt Damon said that someone's butt was different from a child. The mob said he was callous, misinformed, and part of the problem. An anonymous woman described a disappointing date with Aziz Ansari, and suddenly, bad hookups were added to the list. Some women said the problem was the male power structure itself, and soon smashing the patriarchy was added to the long list of goals. It seemed that almost every woman had some kind of experience or goal that she wanted to add to the agenda. No problem was too small or too vague to be included, so long as a man was to blame.
She's right as long as a man is to blame, anything flies. This mindset is the reason why more and more men are avoiding them in the workplace, so they can prevent putting themselves in a situation where they could be falsely accused.
Tonight, one retired CEO is speaking out about why he thinks this might end up having the wrong effect on women in the workforce.
Steve, Tricia, well, this new wave of women standing up against misconduct has led to all sorts of changes. But tonight, one CEO believes it may be preventing women from getting the jobs they want. From the entertainment industry to the gaming world, women everywhere are standing up against misconduct in the workplace.
It's a new day.
It is the era of the woman now.
The latest case has brought this movement right to the Las Vegas Strip. Casino mogul Steve Wynn stepping down as CEO yesterday after allegations he assaulted employees. But is time really up?
I have a big concern, and it's what's going to happen in hiring going forward.
Mark Yosoloff is the director of UNLV's School of Gaming and Innovation and hired hundreds of men and women as former CEO of Shufflemaster. He says this movement will make it tougher for women to get hired, especially when they're up against a qualified man.
They might elect to hire the man because they are concerned that down the road, whether they do anything wrong or not, there might be a she said, he said.
Yosoloff says current CEOs he knows have already opted not to sit in meetings alone with women in fear they would do something to spark a complaint.
It's a craziness that no executive wants to have to pay.
So you guys broke up at that point because
No, this is the question. Do I look like I would go 50-50 on bills?
No.
Okay.
And look at what happened. She called herself flexing and got a bigger flex on her. Now he's with somebody he doesn't have to pay a dime for.
What do you need from a man who you're going to take seriously?
Money.
Name 5 things that you have to offer a man.
Nothing, 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 and nothing.
And when it comes down to the money, why does your man have to have it?
Because I get it.
8 times 6.
8 times 6.
Yes, ma'am. 8 times 6, Miss Liz. Huh?
8 times 6,
92.
92?
I'm lit.
Liz.
Nah, don't use that as an excuse.
Liz. 3 times 7.
21.
21. That's great.
21?
7 times 3. Okay, we can't do it. 8 times 5. 8 times 5, honey. 8 times 5? Huh? I want you to know this so bad.
They can calculate how much a man needs to spend on the first date, but can't solve a basic math problem.
Does height matter?
Yeah.
But you know a guy can't change his height, right?
You're right, a guy can't change his height. But me, though...
If you're judging guys based off of height, then we gotta judge based off of weight. So...
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
What? Right here. For what?
If you enjoyed this video, I promise you'll enjoy this next video. I will see you there.